Hello, students, how are you? Welcome once again to another session of the poem There is a Pleasure in the Pathless Woods, written by Lord Byron. And today we will be doing the last stanza. We have completed this poem, we have done 8 stanzas, and this is the last stanza of the poem. So, as we know that we have excuse me that we have gone through the whole poem, and in this poem Byron is actually expresses his thoughts and experiences of himself and the ideas and beliefs of the people who met him during his long journey of many European countries. As we know that this extract has been taken from the long poem Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, and this is a semi-autobiographical poem, and now we have come to the fag end of it, the last stanza. So these are actually this stanza has the concluding lines of the poem. So let's read the stanza. Farewell, a word that must be and hath been, a sound which makes us linger, yet farewell. Ye who have traced the pilgrim to the scene, which is his last, if in your memories dwell a thought which once was his, if on ye swell a single recollection, not in vain he wore his sandal shoon and scallop shell. Farewell, with him alone may rest the pain, if such were there, and with you the moral of the strain. That is, in this stanza he is bidding farewell. Farewell means the final goodbye. जब अपन कहते हैं goodbye. He says the word that must be and had been, a sound which makes us linger. Linger means to elongate it, to prolong it. We just don't say, if somebody comes to us and when they are leaving, he said, okay, goodbye, and we just turn our back and go. It is not that. We just go very slowly, then we say, okay, goodbye, then again we start talking, we go to the gate to see him off, then again, even at the gate, we keep standing, and then we keep talking. And this sound, actually, farewell, is a very gentle process. It is not an abrupt process. When you say farewell, it is very gentle and it is a prolonged one. That especially if you see people at the railway stations or at the bus stand, that when they come to drop somebody or see them off, they just don't say, okay, tata, bye-bye, you sit on the seat and we are going. No. When the train starts moving or the bus starts moving, they just keep saying, okay, bye, 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 bye. And again and again, they keep saying that. So they want to prolong that moment as long as they can. So a sound which makes us linger. Linger is prolonged. If you remember from that poem, what is the name? That we have elegy written in a country churchyard. That when he's talking about the village folk or the villagers, he says that they have a longing, lingering look behind. It was very alliterative line. That is, when the people are dying, they used to have a longing, lingering look behind. They just want to keep looking. They just look back at their life, at the people. So similarly, when we say farewell, we keep turning our heads back to see that person going away and away, further and further, and is moving in the distance, which is taking him afar. So he says, but yet it is a painful thing. It has to be gentle, and farewell has to be done. कभी ना कभी तो हमको bye कहना ही पड़ेगा. So he says, this is a word that must be and hath been, a sound which makes us linger. Yet farewell. Again he sings, okay, but still I'm saying farewell. Ye who have traced the pilgrim to the scene, Over here, traced means followed. If you have read the poem, if you have followed me, stanza by stanza and canto by canto, then if you have traced the pilgrim to the scene, over here actually the pilgrim is Childe Harold. The name of the poem is Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. So if you have been with Childe Harold, and you have followed him, then which is his last? Now this you have come to the last scene. If in your memories dwell, a thought which once was his, that if you have read the poem and even if you remember one single thing, if you meditate on one single thought, then not in vain he wore his sandal shoon and scallop shell. He said, even if you recollect means if you recall something, then he will feel that he has not in vain. In vain means useless. So he says that he has not worn the shoes uselessly. Over here, he worn his sandal shoon and scallop shell. Now, sandal shoon are the shoes. These sandals which he has worn while going on a pilgrimage, and the scallop shell. So these are the two things which the symbols that the person has been on a pilgrimage, and these things are worn by the pilgrim. So he says, if you, that is readers, if you remember even one thing, even one thought, one thing you recollect or you remember, then I will feel that my efforts have not gone waste. They have not gone vain. That is in vain. That is, they have not been wasted. So he says he worn his sandal shoon and scallop shell. That is, he's been on a pilgrimage. So his pilgrimage will not go wasted if you remember even a single thought or the idea which he has mentioned in the poem. Farewell. Then again he's saying farewell. That is, we just don't say farewell and we stop it. So he's saying farewell, farewell, farewell. And with him alone may rest the pain. He's saying that naturally the one who travels will have more pain. And what are we doing? We are just reading his travelogue kind of a thing, that what he is narrating, what he saw during his travels. So he is narrating to us. So what are we doing? We are just reaping the fruits of his labor, that he had been on the pilgrimage, he had suffered or whatever, enjoyed all these things, whether he had difficulties or whether he has joyful moments, that all these moments, all this labor will rest with him. Him alone may rest the pain. That is, all the pain, whatever he has gone through, will rest only with him. And if there was such pain, because he feels that he has enjoyed this journey, and just because he has enjoyed this journey, he's writing, he is giving us a full account of this journey, and he says, even if there was some pain during that journey, let that pain remain with the writer. And with you, the moral of this, his strain. And with you, he is addressing the reader. That reader, you should remember only the moral of this strain, that is, moral of this song, the moral of this poem. Say, whatever difficulties he had faced, let the difficulties remain with the poet or with the writer, that is Lord Byron. And I just want you to reap the fruits of my experience, of my pleasures. So he is narrating to us all his experiences, and he wants us to benefit from that. So he feels that if he is benefited, if you are benefited, that is, if the reader is benefited, then he will feel that his pilgrimage had been a successful one. So he is this last stanza, he is bidding farewell to his readers, and he is also hoping that his poem or his long piece which he has written, it will influence and affect the readers. So we can say that in this stanza, in this concluding lines, he actually bids farewell to his readers, And he addresses the readers. And the poet says that if you have gone through with the pilgrim, who is the pilgrim? Childe Harold. That if you have been with the pilgrim, if you have lived or been with him, then you must have mentally lived with him. And the poet feels that if the reader remembers any idea, single idea or experience, then he will feel that he has not torn his shoes in he has not torn in his shoes in vain during his long journey. That is, all the efforts which he had taken in traveling throughout Europe and is recounting his experiences. This is the work done by the writer, and he feels that he will think that if the reader remembers, then his labor, his all his efforts will be well rewarded. So we can say that this poet feels quite satisfied with himself, and he is bidding farewell. And this farewell is a very, you can say, a very lingering one, that it just lingers on. So if you see, he has said farewell how many times? First time he says in the first line, then he says in the second line, then again he says in the third last line of this poem. That again and again, that thrice he has to say farewell, because he was to part gently with the reader and not abruptly. And he wishes his reader should remember at least one idea from this poem. So he will feel rewarded if you remember any idea. There are so many ideas in this poem. It's a very, very long poem. And he wishes the reader to remember this poem so that he will feel that he has been rewarded in his labors. So I hope you have understood this poem. And farewell till we meet again with some other poem. So I hope you have understood, and you go through this poem and you go through these videos again and again. So maybe you will not be able to understand once or twice, but if you'll listen to the videos and study the videos properly, then you will be able to understand this poem. So, okay, farewell, bye, have a good day.